Okay, now, Dindo, we've spent a lot of time speculating about a theoretical Biden presidency, but
Yes.
Exactly.
let's go back to some baseline as well. I mean, what would be an objective assessment of Donald Trump's performance in the United States? And I ask this in the context of, despite what people may think of him, everybody's still playing it safe. We are still talking about a fairly close elections. Now, if you assume that a lot of the anti-Trump votes has to do with who he is, how he is, and so on, then that still leaves a lot of plus marks. You would assume on the other side, there must be a reason why it's still not something that people are still uh, very careful not to predict. I mean, especially given what happened 4 years ago. So, objectively speaking, ano ba yung standpoint talaga? Did he or did he not do well economically, at least in the United States?
My answers goes beyond economic. He was a highly polarizing and divisive president, and he
Mm.
built a base around that. That could be at least 40% of the American public, and that's a big base. But of course, the global pandemic affected his stature with this base, so it's slowly grown. But when you look at economic data from the U.S., did they really become stronger during the time of President Trump? The
Well,
data
unemployment
shows,
went down.
the data shows
That's what he's always bragging
only
about.
the, only the stock market went up. But generally, the economy, it was consistent with what he inherited with Obama. And even in states where he promised to bring back manufacturing, details of those things. I mean, when you watch reports coming from CNBC or Bloomberg, they like to hype and report on the stock growth, but not on the investment growth. That really creates jobs. That's why has been challenging for Trump really to have a strong showing where he did well before, which is uh, manufacturing areas like the Midwest. So we'll see how it happens at the end of the day. But when you look at the polls, Biden is actually leading more than Hillary Clinton at this time. And this is, I just don't watch CNN. I subscribe to thehill.com, politico.com. There's even there's a group Cook report that looks at different polls, and I think everybody's just afraid to call it that there's a strong showing from Biden, but I think the pandemic really affected the chances of
You're
Trump.
referring to the popular vote, or to the popular vote, or to the electoral college?
Now, even of course, we know that Hillary Clinton won by 3 million votes in the popular vote. But in the
Mm.
electoral, uh, people should remember that Trump simply won by 15,000 when he got Pennsylvania, or Michigan by
Mm.
40,000 votes. Those are
Mm.
small. Parang nanalo ka sa Makati City or sa Pasay City sa atin, di ba? But you got the whole state, which is bigger than the whole Philippines in terms of population. But now, even Biden is leading in those states. So it's really at the end of the day what we call vote delivery, or the get out the vote. Diba? The polls are there. What happened last time in 2016, those Democrats who did not really like Hillary but wanted Bernie Sanders decided to stay home. So the challenge now, will they stay home in those key states? So that's the battle really, because at the end of the day, a lot of them are affected. Not that the economy did not really move, and the economy now is suffering more because of this coronavirus.